Hello everyone and welcome to the F2 Creator Series sponsored by EA Sports. It's the curtain raiser of your weekend of Creator Series fun. Of course we have the F2 tonight, the F1 tomorrow night, and there's no WRC this week. We're all missing the WRC on our world. But I tell you what, I've brought a friend along from the WRC world to our F2 streams. That was, I had no thought plan there. I just went live and said a load of words, but it went somewhere. John Eyes Amusing from WRC. He's making his commentary debut in the F2 world today. How are you doing?
I'm doing ever so well. I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, in the Formula categories, there's so much that happens on track and so many things to talk about and so many great people racing today. I am absolutely 100% stoked.
Yeah, 100%. It's been an interesting championship. Maybe not for first position. There's been a certain driver who's just mopped clean, really, in the F2. But certainly the battle for second and third has been very interesting. We will get to those standings shortly. But today we are racing in Hungary. It's the second time we are racing in Hungary for the F2. Of course, the first time we raced there, it was Unstopped Rob who took the feature race win. And it was Matty D13 who took the sprint race win. Two drivers who are in the F1 Creator Series now. So, if you do well here, there's a good credence for you to maybe move up into the F1 division. Not that it's a division, but you could maybe moving on to the Saturday event at least. What do you think we'll have from our drivers today in these F2 cars around this very challenging track, John?
Yeah, it's a track that's sometimes been very difficult to overtake at. You've got that long main straight, obviously, but the corners are quite an open radius. There's not heavy braking zones, which, for example, like in Austria or even in Singapore last time out, you get that opportunity to brake late or to maneuver yourself into a position to get the DRS pass or get that late brake move on the inside or the outside. Here, you're going to have to be inventive. You're going to have to force the other driver into a mistake or into a compromised position. So track position will actually count a lot today, but also preserving the tires to make sure, especially on the rear tires, with this track, heavy degradation on the rears and traction zones, you're going to have to pace yourself during the race if you don't want to be overtaken.
Yeah, so first up, we are having two races tonight, of course, in the F2 style. We have the sprint, then we have one-shot qualifying and the feature race. The sprint race is a reverse championship order. That means Lolanoba, who leads the standings. Let's actually go over to the standings right now. He leads the standings with a whopping 178 points to F1 Alex in second with 113 points. But look at that, Dragonflies in third position with 112 points. So quite a close battle between those two. We were actually speaking to F1 Alex beforehand. He 4 attempts he was struggling to find on Lolanoba at Hungary. So I don't think he'll be quite competing with him. But it means that with that, as you said, that difficulty to go through the pack, he'll be at the back. We could see maybe someone further down the order pick up some very, very good points here with the difficulty of overtaking that we'll see here.
Yeah, last time out in Singapore, but also in Austria, the Lolanoba and a few of the other drivers had a lot of difficulty picking up some damage in that initial race with the reverse grid. So it can all you can have the best race strategy plan that you can think of, and it can all unravel in turn one or before turn one, indeed. So it's all about improvisation, adaptation. Getting that race strategy correct today will be 100% the race-winning move, unless somebody races off into the distance. It is possible, but it could create some desperation moves. We've seen some 3 wides, even 4 wides recently, so chaos might ensue.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to that Hungarian Grand Prix race we raced on F2, back on F1 23 in the first season, that caused some nightmares. Daniel Gilligan, actually, one of the co-commentators here at the Creator Series, he was involved with that race, actually leading that race under the sprint, and he pitted under a late safety car for tyres. No one else did, and it absolutely cursed him because he couldn't get through the pack. So he threw away a clear race win in the sprint, at least. We saw lots of action, lots of frenetic energy after that, a lot of handbags at dawn, let's say, after the streams between the creators. They were all up and at it that day. So, we do see those faster drivers at the back, and if they can't get through, they do like to maybe put a wheel in where it's more difficult to do, certainly around that final sector, that middle sector as well, where it's just so tight and twisty. No overtaking opportunities, of course, around there traditionally, but, maybe we'll see some of that today as well, like we saw previously.
Yeah, there's also stuff like the DRS trains that happen, so if you create a gap, it can fundamentally affect the race. And indeed, the pace of drivers does vary as well. The F2 series, as you said, is a sort of a development series, so people are trying to up their pace, prove that they have what it takes to get to the F1 series, and prove they have the consistency as well. So there are quite a few drivers like Adam Sanderson, F1 Alex, that are just making those strides, taking those steps to really try and challenge the front pace. And it can lead to situations where you think it's done and dusted before the race, and then suddenly someone appears out of nowhere and they're on lead pace, a bit like Esteban Ocon did a few years ago in Formula 1, out of nowhere, and it happened.
Yeah, I think there's 5 times that a driver has actually won the Hungarian Grand Prix and not won a race in any other race that season. Like thinking about Button, Ocon, of course, Alonso getting his first win here. Actually, Button getting his first win here too. I think Theo Boutsen in 1990 as well. He also got his only win that season here. So it can throw up a surprising result. That's of course in the F1 world. We're in the virtual F2 world, but it can throw a surprise result, and it can throw something spicy into the equation. Now let's quickly go over and have a look at the calendar, because another mark to make, this is actually coming up to the halfway point in the season. Of course, we've got 13 rounds, so say after the sprint race, this is really halfway through the season. So we have Hungary and then Belgium next week, and of course we're filling up the gulf of the void really of the F1 content that of course doesn't happen because it's a summer break. We're still here, Australia, Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, and of course back when they go back at the Netherlands and Monza to finish off the season. But we're at that halfway point now. Championship-wise, Lonanoba, we've spoken about it briefly. He's far out ahead. It's quite a point lead. Do you think, with these races left, do you think it would take something catastrophic for Lonanoba to lose that championship lead?
Well, as long as he can continue getting P2s and P3s, I think it's quite secure. But momentum can change, confidence can change. And you've got some of these tracks which are a quite different characteristic, where you've got the long turns of Belgium, the high speed of Belgium. Then you go to tracks like Australia, which are very sharp, short turns, and your driving style can suit one track rather than the other, and vice versa for your rivals. So it can really change from one circuit to another. Looking at the points gap, I wouldn't say done and dusted, but it would take a few problems for it to turn itself around. However, looking at the previous race results, the field is so close that even just a bit of front wing damage on one race, that's straight away 25 points down the drain, possibly. And with only, I think, a 60 points difference, something like that, it's still doable.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 races, isn't there? But remember, we have the different point scoring systems. We just like to make it confusing here at the Creator Series. For the sprint races, we use the F1 sprint race scoring system. For the F2 feature races, and the F1 feature races indeed, we use a made-up scoring system, something that we chose ourselves. Points down to 15th position, 25 points for a win, but only 20th for a second. So that means that, if Lonanoba only came second or third here, that gap is actually reduced in points than if we ran the normal point system. So is that good or bad? Probably a bad thing in terms of closing down the championship, because F1 Alex would need almost perfect weekends from out to be able to close this one down. But really, realistically, it's the fights, it's the battles up and down the grid that we love seeing here in the Creator Series. Some people in chat today. Jess, hello. How are you having a wonderful time? I believe you're on holiday. Hope you're having a great time. TK saying the 2 goats of WRC on F2. Pinch me. Well, it's not the 2 goats of WRC because, of course, TK is one of those goats. So, fantastic. I hope you're doing well, TK, wherever you are today. And Dirk Chocolate in chat too. Arsno too in there too. And Astro Rabbit saying, y'all mind giving Adam the dub? Do we mind giving Adam Sanderson the dub? It's up to you, Eyes of Musing. Do you want to give it to him? Yes, no?
It would be great to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's had some fantastic battles. I'm thinking back to I think race 2 of the season in Canada, where he fought really hard with Lonanoba for the feature race win, and it felt a little bit cruel for him. He picks up a little bit too many penalties. Of course, Canada, that Montreal circuit, so easy to cut over the grass and pick up penalties, and he just rode his luck a little bit too much that day. But I mean, he's been close. I think he will get that win soon. He's been improving. I mean, when Adam Sanderson first joined the series, I'm thinking all the way way back in the second season of the Creator Series. Of course, that was just the F1 Creator Series at that point. He was nowhere near fighting for battles, and now we have this F2 Championship. He's right in the midst, and it's always great to see the face of Devon Butler do well here at the Creator Series.
Yeah, you got the story mode where he's, rising to glory, and we'll see if it has the same conclusion. I hope not for Adam Sanderson, but he's definitely putting the strides in and putting the effort, getting the performance, and it's great to see. To be honest, I think Lolonoba has got actually quite lucky in the past couple of races where there's been battles behind him, especially in the longer races, and it's always. Including the safety car, actually, in Singapore. I was just thinking back to last race. The safety car changed the entire aspect of that race, where it was looking like he was maybe fighting only for P3. Then, luckily, just managed to get that free set of tyres on. So anything can change, and that's the beauty of it. These cars are all equal. It comes down to the driver, to the choices that they make, and the cars are quite twitchy, and you can go into the last lap comfortable, and then all of a sudden you make a little mistake and it's done and dusted. So, exciting to the last corner of the last lap.
Yeah, of course, these previous generation of F2 cars that we were running, I think the 24 F2 cars are coming later on in the year in a patch, usually called the Sports Update, so we'll see those. But of course, with the handling model changes this year, with what they're like naturally, they're so twitchy at the rear end, with this track being rear limited, that's going to be really, really interesting. That could really compound issues. What did you say to me before the broadcast? I said it could be a bit of a grip issue. You said, what was it?
I might have mentioned something about skill issues. Yeah. I'm not sure. Usually that's for me to mention, but there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is actually interesting though, because the grip problems and the twitchiness of the cars can actually create a situation where you can have multiple racing lines through the corner. You see it multiple times, especially in the first two turns. With Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, I remember battling in 2021 with Fernando trying to keep Hamilton behind. And it can lead to things where you go in deep to the corner, but you have a better exit, or do you keep to the inside, trying to keep the racing line? So a lot of stuff can happen, and a lot of brakes locking and stuff like that can send you wide. The curbs here are quite brutal in certain places, so there's a lot of uncertainty there, and it can really open up the opportunity on the corner where you think you're just passing through.
Indeed it does. Blaze Assault in chat, what time does the racing start? It's a very good question. It's anywhere between now and about 10 minutes time. It will happen very quickly when it does, but we'll of course get you all the action. I'll click the buttons that bring up the race screen when there is racing to be had. But yeah, I think Dirk Chocolate hosting tonight, but he's a bit ill, so I don't think he's actually able to race. So get well soon, Dirk. He's had an absolute wild one since Goodwood. Talking of Goodwood, you were at Goodwood, and you got a cheeky ride in a WRC car, didn't you, John?
Most certainly did. One of the most exhilarating experiences of my lifetime. I can literally describe it as being on a roller coaster. I mean, even for like a Formula 3 car, it would be even more intense with the grip on a track. But watching what drivers can do in the real world and how precise, how just in control they are was just mesmerizing. And yeah, I can recommend, if you ever get the chance to go, even as a passenger on a track day or something, do it, because it's an experience that you can't quite describe to somebody that's never been in a race car. The smell, the sensations, the G-forces, even just looking at how fast everything goes through outside when you're just hurtling around the track is just, yeah, an experience you'll never forget, I can guarantee that.
Yeah, I mean, there is a video of that over on your YouTube channel, Eyes Amusing. Is it spelled like it is on the stream here? What I thought was fabulous about that is that you had the mind and the kind of presence of mind to just be able to talk through the whole, what was going on, what it felt like, how your instant reaction. I think if I was in the car, my jaw would just drop to the floor. I think, how do you bring out, do you think that's the streamer in you just coming out and being able to really process what's going on a little bit, or is that just something naturally you find you're able to do?
Well, my dad was a rally co-driver, so it kind of is in the blood to just sit in a rally car and go, where's the pace notes? But I think also there was a clear decision from me as well to just say, I need to be able to put this across for people that haven't been in a rally car or haven't been in a race car before, to describe how it's feeling, how you can actually sense what the car is doing, even though you don't have control of the steering wheel. Because in a simulator, the only force feedback, unless you have a motion rig, the only force feedback you have or a sensation is through the wheel. Whereas in real life, you've got a lot of G-force through the seats. You can really feel exactly what the car is doing, the rumbles, vibrations, really tell a story of what is happening. And so that's realistically what I just tried to do, portray that as words and that can be understood by everybody. But is it easy to do? Definitely not. There were a few times where I was like, well, this is getting very fast now.
No, it's a fabulous bit of footage. So I absolutely recommend everyone in chat. While we're waiting to race, it's only a short little joust through the Goodwood countryside, doesn't it, and woods. You know, we go give that a quick watch while we're racing. We're still, I would say, roughly 5 minutes away from race start here. Lots of people in the lobby, but I don't see any green ticks. So let's talk a little bit more about the F2 and the F1. And F1 24 as a whole, have you had any experience on this game over the last month or so since its release?
Yeah, I have been driving on the F1 series. Obviously, I used to do league racing, but way back. We're talking about F1 2013. I was teammates to Alex Gillen, actually, in the... I can't remember which racing series it was now, but yeah, I was teammate. Absolutely, I think it was Apex Online Racing,
right, okay.
or ARL back in the day.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because it changed hands while we were racing.
Oh,
that was
really?
chaotic. Yeah, the stories of that and the shenanigans that happened in the background were quite interesting, but it all worked out in the end, at least for a time. And all I remember from that season is just Alex being absolutely unbeatable and me trying to get within at least a pit stop of him by the race end, which never happened really. So I have experience on it. I know about race strategies. I watch Formula 1 all the time. I have done since, I think, 2001, since I was a kid. Just sat in front of the TV and watched, I think it was Mark Webber's debut at the Malaysian Grand Prix. So Formula 1 runs in the blood, as does all forms of motorsport. And the thing that I always liked was the strategy side of things. A lot of people watch the racing. Obviously, I love the racing, but all of the technical side, the engineering, everything that goes into making the cars fast and getting that race win, I find it just incredible, because on the rally side of stuff, it's all just the driver. You have to get through the stage, that's it. There's no real strategy apart from tire wear. So in Formula 1, where you've got a team of mechanics, a team of engineers, race strategists, and just even just on the radio motivating the driver, you know, it's a completely different environment. And that's why in stuff even like F1 esports, just maintaining that momentum, the motivation, it can make a huge difference where the gaps are hundredths, if not at most tenths of seconds.
Absolutely, but of course not esports drivers today, except from Molyneux, but he may be esports level, I'm not sure. But we do have our content creators at work today, and they're still just sitting in the lobby waiting to get at this Hungarian track, and just
they have their viewers to motivate them. I will say that.
They do. They have their viewers to say what's going on. We get the same questions here in the Spectacular. We haven't actually had the question, which is, hey, when's the F1 on yet? So, you know, I'm waiting for that one from chat. But we usually get at least one per stream. But yeah, this Budapest circuit that we're racing at today opened in 1986 behind the Iron Curtain. And really, you know, described as Monaco without the walls. I think that's a bit silly because it's not quite as tight and as technical as the Monte Carlo circuit. But you know, do you have any good experience, any good memories of racing at this track, or is it one that you like to miss? It's kind of like Marmite in my experience to some people.
I enjoy driving the track. It's one of my favourites. I like the technicality of it. I think the Monaco without the barriers describes the difficulty of overtaking actually more than the track itself. So it's a race that's very strategic, as I said, so you've got to really pay attention. And as a driver, you have to make sure that you don't make that mistake, especially on the last corner. It's a very long straight, and usually you run quite a high downforce around here. So if you make a mistake and miss out on that straight line speed, you will probably get overtaken at least by one car, if not two cars. So you've got to really pay attention. As per the races I've done in league racing back in those years, obviously the game has changed quite a lot now. It always used to be a question of tire wear. It's because there's so many corners and there's only one straight, the tires overheat very, very quickly, very easily, especially if you're pushing them a lot. And with the mistakes that you can make, the twitchiness of the cars, you can overheat them further. So the people that can sort of maintain the tires within the operating temperature at the end of the stints, they will be absolutely lightning quick.
Yeah, we'll be pleased to know that we are very, very close to joining. We're actually in a loading screen just behind the scenes, I should say, and we can actually go over to what should be a dryish pit lane today. I don't think we're on for any rain, spoiler alert, but maybe a little bit will come and spice it up. But also no formation lap on, so we will jump straight into the action when it comes. Now, reverse championship order, as I say again, this is a sprint race, so a slightly shorter race. They don't have to pit, and typically you wouldn't see anyone pit here. Even with a late safety car, it can hurt people in the past, as I mentioned earlier on with Daniel Gilligan. Any final thoughts before we head into this first race of 2 today?
Well, hopefully there's no pinball maneuvers like 2021 into the turn 1. We're about to find out, but it should be a great race in terms of just everybody going flat out in at least the sprint race. We'll see about the feature race later on.
Yeah, should be moments away. 444 meters is the run from pole position down into turn 1. So quite a long one because the straight's only 610 meters. They start right at the back of this fairly unusually short start-finish straight. So there is a lot of opportunity for jostling and jockeying for position, certainly into T1. And I think a lot of people really try to get a good start. So that's why people can so easily trip over each other. And that could be multiplied by it being the F2 Creator Series. Thinking back to the Spanish Grand Prix nearly a month ago, the big collision at the start there. But here we are. We got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And when they go out, the creators go racing in Hungary, and it looks to be a good start from Patterson, and F1 Scott has already jumped up the order. The man reserving into series, of course, someone who was promoted in the playoffs last time. He's doing well. B-Roy is up into second position. Patterson is battling away with the race leader. No, that's B-Roy there that he's battling away with, and I think it is Hoodie Pete on the move as well, down into the third corner, and they go plunging down and then come towards this fourth corner here, which is an unsighted left-hander. There's a huge collision at the back. Big problems for some of our drivers.
I think that was Dragonflies that spun, and multiple cars caught up there at the back. Emphatic, F1 Alex in the title fight here. That is a disaster. Well, as Lolinova has made its way up to P5. Look at that. That is an incredible move right from the start. He'll be jumping with joy, especially watching F1 Alex. You never want to see your rivals eliminated like that, but in terms of points, it does make a big difference. And as you can see already, just a single file line here, although it looks like Dark Viper might have a move here. Let's see, does he go for it late on the brakes? Yes, of course you have to, the Kimmy move, and he makes it stick and makes it look extremely easy, although Chesnoid Gaming has the inside. Will he get forced out wide? I have no idea. This is going to be a 3-corner maneuver, even down into turn 1, perhaps.
Yeah, I think Chesnoid has just let that one slip away, as it's Patterson who's picked up the lead there, because I think F1 Scott has gone off somewhere in that carnage. So Patterson leading, but how long for? Because B-Roy is looking to go up the inside of turn 1 here as we head on to the second lap. A bit squirrely on traction out of turn 2, and now they race down towards turn 2. Sorry, it's just a kink out of turn 1, and it's the inside for Patterson. Patterson there on traction. Is he going to be able to keep it calm and collected? He can. He maintains the position, but look at that, the championship leader up past his teammate. That's pushed Luke Howick offline and given the impetus to Dark Viper to get by as they plunge down out of turn 3.
Yeah, Dark Viper regaining P5 as well, just behind, and F1 Scott regaining 2 positions as well on that lap. Only Vic, sadly, starting on pole, dropping down the order. Not looking like it's their day today. As far as damage, actually, I haven't seen any front wings lost at the moment, apart from that incident on lap 1. So everybody keeping it clean. Again, it's a strategic race, but Lolinoba looks extremely racy at the moment. Patterson under pressure from B-Roy. Are we going to see another move? The exact same copy? And no, just late on the brakes for Patterson, just getting it stopped. Perfect defensive maneuver. And will he leave? Oh, he's leaving the inside open. This could be disastrous. Forced out wide. Yeah, B-Roy does get the wing just in front. And this is going to be a drag race down across the start-finish line. Patterson regains the lead a little bit. It's going to be a drag race. They're both side by side. You got the Senna versus Mansell vibes here. Who's going to be the late breaker for T1?
Yeah, it's going to be B-Roy up the inside at the moment, but Patterson a little bit later on the brakes, taking that wider line. They're still 2 by 2. This battling, costing them time to the cars behind, and that hungry Lonanoba will be relishing the fight ahead as B-Roy and Patterson still 2 by 2 as they head downwards through the second hairpin at turn 2. Hoodie Pete having a stellar battle behind, but this is a battle for the lead. Hoodie Pete has actually defended so hard that Dark Viper has been able to sneak through on Lonanoba. Now he's right behind the gearbox of that F2 car as they head through turn 4. No overtaking opportunities here, but if you are Devil May Care, you may go for something into the chicane here. It's tight, and he does just back out of that one. He knows if they go too wide there, it's going to be the end of the day for at least one of them, but still battling, and up the inside at turn 8 there. That's fantastic movement, but they're still too wide, and now this is slowing Lonanoba down as in a turn of events.
Oh, and Lonanoba overtaken by Luke Howick as well. That move started at turn 2 with Hoodie Pete forcing Lonanoba wide, and he lost 2 positions, and chaos has ensued since then. I really think they're ganging up a little bit on Lonanoba, just making sure that he has to do it the hard way with a bold move. But yeah, definitely Dark Viper profiteering from that, and he's just outside of DRS range here, whereas B-Roy is going to have another attempt at Patterson here into turn 1 in the slipstream. DRS, really, I think this is going to be an easy move. It's up to Patterson to gain it back, really, on the brakes. Yeah, it's a done deal into turn 1. We're looking for other position changes, but it looks like everybody's just settling into a rhythm. And there, Lonanoba, I said nothing. Adam Sanderson losing a position to Lonanoba. It's all happening now.
Yeah, Lonanoba, I think he was battling there with Adam Sanderson. Adam Sanderson still not taking no for an answer, and it's Krysix in that Red Bull liveried car that was looking to maybe get involved as well. Chesnoid Gaming not too far away from this battle either, but look, it is just such a tight battle behind, and it's slowing down 4th position so much, but Dark Viper has caught up the leading duo, so he's well in this fight for the win of the sprint race. 14 laps, we're on lap 4, and I think Dark Viper has got up the inside of Patterson and took him off. I spoke about how it's dangerous to go too wide there, and Patterson is free falling through the order.
Oh, it was going so well, and at one of the points where you have to rejoin and be so careful on the grass, all the way down to last place. Can you believe it? From first to last. It can happen so rapidly, especially with the twitchiness of the cars. All it takes is a tap from the rear and you lock the brakes, and it's done and dusted. So unfortunately, that means that B-Roy has a little bit of a lead here, but Dark Viper is looking racy. But yeah, commiserations for Patterson on that one.
Yeah, I wonder if Dark Viper's picked up any kind of damage from his front car with Patterson, both of the Van Amersfoort cars getting into it and only one coming out alive of that one. It'd be good to know what happened there, but we just missed it on the broadcast. We're being told in chat, Lonanoba, progress is slow because he's actually got a damaged front wing.
That would be the second sprint race in a row, I think, where he's had significant damage to his car. And yes, you can see the wing is damaged and he's getting forced out. Hoodie Pete defending, although Lonanoba looks like he has gained the position there provisionally. That will not help tyre wear. It will not help performance. There is no way to recover. Hoodie Pete loses another position to Krysix there. So it's not going well for Hoodie Pete. But this is going to heat up now because Lonanoba has to try and attack, but also probably defend as he won't have the pace.
Yep, looking at the order, it's all of those F1 reserves. We're looking at Razin Shai, F1 Scott, Meraki, Peya, and Emphatic, who all really were involved in that first lap collision, and they're way down the order. They're way out the battle for the top 8. So Chesnoid Gaming picking up that final point as things stand. But Hoodie Pete now falling into the clutches of Chesnoid Gaming. He was just looking up the inside at turn 12 for a second now. I don't think he's going to go for that move. He'll wait for the DRS. He'll know Hoodie Pete's under pressure, though, because he's nearly falling out of the DRS of the car in front. B-Roy still maintaining that lead. Ooh, what's that? What's going on there?
2 cars. There, Patterson, I think, and Dan Moran. Peria looks like actually has crashed as well. So a massive collision that's taken place just off of our cameras. I think just people going for desperate moves now, trying to get past Meraki and just compounding the problem behind him. Looking for damage, it looks like B-Roy maybe, or just checking the tires. He was driving left to right quite erratically there. That's more reminiscent of a rally move than being smooth and collected. Dark Viper might look to profiteer from this. If B-Roy is not confident in the tires or in the grip, looks like Dark Viper will seize the opportunity here.
Yeah, it was a second behind as they went on to the start-finish straight, start lap 6, and now he is only 2/10 behind. I don't know if B-Roy's just checking back a bit. He wants to back up the pack. He wants the carnage to ensue before, because it's worked so well for him before, of course. But Dark Viper, he's been involved in a collision with someone who's led this race already, Patterson, and he's out for blood, some would say. He's going to be really, really feisty here, and he'll take that position any way he can, with Luke Hywick right behind closing in too. This is a three-way battle for the lead as it stands. Adam Sanderson closing in. Adam Sanderson's kind of gone under the radar, but he has reached the dizzying heights of 4th position for him, so he could be in for a good podium position here too. But honestly, go onto the straight for lap 7. It's going to be B-Roy who leads it, but he's going to be under serious pressure from not just Dark Viper, but I think Luke Hywick as well, as they go over these splits and they go straight down. There we are. Look, Dark Viper taking that position. Will Luke Hywick think about it as well? He's looking to the inside. He's got to hope these two battle a little bit more, and maybe down into turn 2 he can make a little bit of move, but I think he had a bit of a moment there.
Yeah, he nearly spun the car entirely. He's recovered, just so you can see, but just in time to be attacked by Adam Sanderson. Down the inside, he's going to be forced to the outside. Maybe Krysix can even profiteer from this, but it looks like no, he's managed to maintain that position, but that will be incredibly frustrating. B-Roy now also suffering from the tires. He is on the softer compound of tires, so he will be struggling now for the rest of the race. Perhaps the continuous tire wear around this track, continuous left and right turns are really taking a toll on the tires. He's behind the rear wing of Dark Viper for the moment. Just wanted to mention also, Peria was in the pits to replace presumably front wing damage, and it has not gone well for him, but he'll have a chance to recover later on.
Yeah, B-Roy, the only car in the top 8 in the point scoring positions who is on those soft tyres. He's not going to be fighting for that race lead, I don't think. The best thing he can do is try and keep it with Dark Viper, keep that DRS and keep his hopes alive of scoring some decent points here in this sprint race. Of 2 races of 2, I think there's been a spin at the back. I believe that's only Vic there. Only Vic in the ART car, I believe, has spun. So not a great day for her at the moment, but of course another race to come, one-shot qualifying before that. But we do have to decide who's going to win this one. At the moment, Dark Viper has a stunning lead. He's going to be very happy Luke Hywick had that moment, because he would have had to fight him and challenge him. If he didn't have that moment, I think he could have springboarded an overtake into turn 2.
Yeah, indeed. It was all looking to be heating up down to that turn 2 with the DRS, but that little moment just sort of depleted any tension that there was into there. It must be said as well, B-Roy with a 3-second penalty now, so that has further compounded his problem with the tyres. And indeed, it makes Dark Viper's job a lot easier, because everybody has to get past B-Roy now to challenge for that race win. It looks like actually Dark Viper is driving off into the distance, to be honest, as Adam Sanderson is now under pressure in P3 with a huge amount of cars behind him. This is looking to heat up once again. Will we see a 3-wide action into turn 1? Stay tuned.
Yeah, we've already seen plenty of incident here already, just 8 laps in, and some of that incident involving Lonanova, of course, having that front wing damage. I'm not saying any of it's his fault, but certainly in the wars today, picked up that lap wing damage on lap 1. He started 11th, by the way. It's meant to be a reverse grid championship. I think there's an issue with the game. We'll whisper it because we're sponsored by EA Sports, but there's an issue with the game where that's being fixed in the next pack show on Monday, so that's all good on that front. So next week you will have a proper reverse grid championship, but now it's Adam Sanderson who's going to be under pressure from Luke Hywick. He's had his moment out of turn 1 already. He's looking to regain the ground that he lost. He's using that DRS nicely and up the inside, but he's not got the move done. And if he waits for too long, Krysix may have a go at him too, but on traction out of turn 1, a lot better for the Red Bull livery car. And now it's another Red Bull livery car going up the inside, clattering into the side of Adam Sanderson. And I think I just saw a little bit of damage there come off the car, a little bit of debris there, so someone's just picked up something that may slow them down.
Yeah, indeed, it was 2 quite dirty moves, it must be said, forcing the car to the outside. You're allowed to do it. within reason, but I think just a little bit of oversteer contributing to that forceful move. And unfortunately for Adam Sanderson, that's cost him 2 positions. But barring any damage, there's always a chance to recover. Lola Nova, must be said, with the front wing damage, it's, perfectly balanced as things should be, not starting last, but getting some damage to compensate for that. So, I tip my hat to him in making things sort of equal. He looks like he's really struggling, though, with understeer. The problem is with these cars. Is that rain?
There is rain.
It is indeed.
Yes. Right. I said there wouldn't be any rain, but there is rain, and that maybe explains B-Roy's strategy a little bit. Just go for the rain, go for the slick tyres. Is anyone going to pit onto those intermediates at this point? Someone is. It's B-Roy, I believe. Or is it? Yes, it's B-Roy going into the pits. He's ditching those softs, and he's going to be the first person to risk it. Now he hopes that a deluge is going to attack the sprint race here, and he is going to be profiteering from that. I think it's a little bit too early, in my opinion.
I think it's early, but I think he saw the writing on the wall in terms of those tyres were really cooked, and he needed to make a strategy call. I think he was going to drop down the order. He was losing quite a bit of time, the laps falling off in terms of pace, as we've got Krysics right on the back of Luke Howick. He's going to probably have to wait another lap here because you just don't have enough straight line to get a move done. Maybe if they had battery deployment, maybe would have... Oh, well, straight away, Krysics, Luke Howick spinning off there, just clipping the curb, and with the rain now falling, is the grip falling off faster than we're predicting?
Yeah, that was a no-no moment for Luke Howick. He's still facing the barrier. He knows he's probably out of it points-wise here. He needs some kind of safety car to save his day in this one. Even that's not going to save him. Only 4 laps left in the sprint. Do we see maybe someone thinking, I'm on the dry tyres, do I bother going onto the wet tyres? Think about how long it takes to pit even longer with these F2 cars, of course, because you have less personnel changing the tyres. Some people just stick out, won't they?
A lot of the Formula 1 or the Creator Series Formula 1 drivers are switching tyres. They might be on the, outside of the point, but they obviously feel that it's ready. And you can see how much the cars are sliding now. Dark Viper is probably leading the race. You have to stay out. You have to try and stay out. Sometimes it doesn't work, a bit like Lando Norris in Russia. I think 2020 it was. And you've got to take a gamble. Adam Sanderson taking the gamble in the pits. It's 3 laps to go. There's no way of calling this.
Yeah, it's going to be very treacherous conditions if those dry tyres are going to not make it. So it's still slippy out there. We've seen mistakes from Luke Howick. We kind of saw that in the dry as well, though. Sorry, mate. But it wasn't quite as bad for him as he came through this corner last time out, just dropping out of the points-paying positions. Dark Viper didn't choose to pit. I think he's just got to stay out there until he knows he's going to lose that position, basically. I think if he pits now, he's potentially throwing away the race win. Now, Dark Viper, thinking back to the playoffs of Season 6, he pitted when it was raining, and he had a comfortable lead, and he ended up coming 7th in that race out of 8. So he knows what it's like to lose race leads here in the Creator Series. And Dark Viper, I think he's going to stay out. I think the rain hasn't affected things enough, and I'm going to say, what do the F1 drivers know? They don't know anything.
Well, looking at statistics right now, looking at the timing boards, I'm looking at Adam Sanderson and B-Roy, who are both on the wet weather tyres now. They have lost about 0.5 of a second this lap compared to Dark Viper. So the delta is still with the rain tyres. However, I think he knows that he has the gap now to pit. And I think everybody's going to be forced to pit now because the rain is just falling more and more and more. But there's only 3 laps to go. It's anybody's call right now. You could toss a coin and it could be the right answer, and the other one may be the wrong one. Who knows? So
that DRS disable message, that typically in F1 game history is the crossover point, right? But Krysics and Lonanoba and Hoodie Pete have all carried on. Chesnoid Gaming too. They've all carried on. Dark Viper in 5th position currently, but falling to 6th. Is the first car on those wet tyres, but he's now going to hope that these conditions are really, really tricky and we see some incidents from the cars ahead, because I think they're just going to try and tiptoe around. Krysics in 1st position at the moment. Lonanoba has struggled so much with wing damage all day. He's in 2nd at the moment. Hoodie Pete, that would be sensational for the Prema driver to get 3rd.
Ironically, it's looking like the cars are oversteering rather than understeering at the moment, so that front wing damage might actually balance the car a lot more. And we're seeing Lolonoba actually pressuring for the lead right now. So it can be sometimes where if you have an imbalanced car and you remove some of the front downforce, it can rebalance the car, you can gain the grip. We've got someone off, I think it might be Hoodie Pete? No, it isn't.
Yep.
I can't figure out who that is.
Hoodie Pete has certainly had an off, because he is going slow. Yeah, it was Hoodie Pete.
It was Hoodie Pete, and so that's completely thrown his strategy out of the window. All of that time saved by not pitting now has been completely reversed. I'd say it's probably too late to pit now.
Is that Crysis and Lolonoba fighting there? I think it was. I think Crysis has just maintained that position. No, he's fallen into second here, but the timing board hasn't updated. Lolonoba looks to have gone by. No, he doesn't. Sorry, that was a different Red Bull car. That was a lapped Red Bull car. So just ignore what I'm saying here. I'm just talking a load of old rubbish. Nothing new for our Creator Series viewers here. Lolonoba's actually dropped off quite a bit, and he has a 3-second penalty to boot, so that's going to help people. But we've got 2 laps left here, and I'm not sure. It's almost like watching Damon Hill back in '97. Can he beat the cars that are catching him? And of course, in that day, the engine failure that he suffered didn't get him to the end. I think it was a gearbox failure or something, or a hydraulic issue that made his car limp round. He was leading by a mile in an arrows, but yeah, I think Crysis can find it very, very difficult. Hoodie Pete in third again because he's chosen not to pit once again, but I think Dark Vipers just took that position off. It's 14 seconds he's got to close down in less than 2 laps now to retake that lead.
The gap is exactly half that it was 2 laps ago. And we have 2 laps left. Incredible. As we have Hoodie Pete spinning out again. It's gone from bad to worse, and I can only see him dropping outside of the points now because most of the drivers behind him are on those wet weather tires. And you can see Crysis, there is no grip left. It's handling like a Mark II Escort on a rally stage. There is absolutely no grip.
They can't pit now. They can't pit, can they? They cannot pit. No. They're committed to this strategy.
The gap is down to 12 seconds. Will it be enough? I have no idea. If the gap is around 8 seconds as they cross the line, it could be all to play.
Certainly, Dark Viper just coming towards the end of this second sector. Very tricky on the curves in dry conditions. Very difficult in the wet conditions. You can use that exit curb, but you can't use the inside curb there, all in these wet conditions. And he's just trying to find something. Look at this gap to Lolonoba is 6.2 seconds. I think he could catch Lolonoba, but how quickly can he pass Lolonoba is whether he will be able to maintain this race win as they start the final lap. Crysis goes over. This is going to be very, very close to call.
The gap is free-falling. It's now down to 6.7 seconds, and it's just closing down. And as you can see, Crysis just not being able to get it turned in to the first corner. Can he get the traction down? Not even. It's just completely gone off a cliff. And Dark Viper is already in turn 1. This is going to be a grandstand finish.
Absolutely. The heat in those tyres is well and truly gone for the leading duo. I think Dark Viper is within 3 seconds of Lolonoba. Second place is secured, but that risk to go onto these tyres, I think he would have won the race either way if he kept it on the island, but that's a much difficult prospect than it is said. So as they come towards turn 5, with the water park in the distance, it's like a water park on a circuit, and Lolonoba's car handling like a rubber dinghy on a shopping trolley. He's got no grip at all, and Crysis is going to be fresh bait here. He's going to be eaten up, swallowed by Dark Viper. He's just got to be so patient through turns 8, turn 9. Make sure not to do anything stupid, but the superb traction out of turn 9 gives him the lead of the race with only a handful of corners to go. Dark Viper, he took the risk, and he is going to take the spoils.
Incredible stuff. You have to say that risk was well worth it, but maybe he could have won it. It's a safer choice to pit for wet weather tires. Also, Adam Sanderson might catch Lolonoba here. I think the gap already down past 3 seconds, so Adam Sanderson will be on the podium. And it looks like rounding the last corner, Dark Viper has demonstrated how strategy is all important in wet weather racing. And here he goes across the line, wiggling the steering wheel. He is very, very happy with that. And that is a memorable race victory. But Crysis also bring it home on the wet tires. And a grandstand finish between Adam Sanderson and Lolonoba, with the time penalty obviously applying very, very close between them. B-Roy, a race to possibly forget, sadly, because he was so well positioned and just that strategy call not paying out for him.
Yeah, I don't feel like he lost much. He would have lost a few positions definitely on those soft tyres without this wet weather coming in. But 7th position isn't ideal. I think you would have hoped that rain to come a little bit early, of course, pitting on that. Adam Sanderson, without that penalty applied, would have took that position by 0.003 of a second. That's how close they were on the line. That was thrilling. It really was a grandstand finish over the line for the final podium position. And it's going to be Dark Viper winning this one. Krysix in second. Adam Sanderson in third. And I think Lolanova with the wing damage, he'll take the points for the championship lead, and he's gained on F1 Alex, of course. And he's gained on Dragonflies. So a gain in the championship, even if it wasn't his most perfect day.
Yeah, commiserations once again to Patterson, having such a great start to the race and it just all going wrong with one mistake. It just proves that no matter how good you think it's going, all it takes is one lapse of concentration, especially in tricky conditions like this where you know the grip is going to change. And yeah, not everybody can get it right on race day. There are winners, there are losers. That is racing. Yeah,
we're still waiting for a couple of cars to come over. Making a pair of it, basically. Yeah, it's a Gymkhana. Yeah. It's a WRC special, isn't it, today? Gymkhana around the final couple of corners. Patterson, who, of course, was leading the race at one point, down in 17th position, 43 seconds worth of penalties. I didn't think you could get 43 seconds worth of penalties. That surely is the maximum you can get. But they are having a little bit of fun here. They're no doubt picking up points. And they're just going to round the final few corners. And hopefully we'll get this one underway. I hope, actually, Patterson is indeed still racing out there, because I'd quite like him to finish. He isn't still racing. Look, he's going for an overtake with no front wing. His day, with that collision with Dark Viper, it just never recovered from there, did it?
Yeah, and I was talking about the balance of the car. Having no front wing whatsoever is possibly not the best balance that you want on your car, even in wet weather racing. But hey, a chance to redeem himself in the next race. It's not over yet, and most of the points are scored in the next one. So everybody will be right back at it as soon as they are done with their qualifying.
Yeah, we are going to have one-shot qualifying coming up very, very soon. First, we'll have the podium celebrations from this sprint race. Aloft with the British flag is Dark Viper after that fantastic battle. Be on the right tyres at the right time is what you could describe that as. And it was a perfectly timed switch to those wet tyres. I think any lap shorter, he wouldn't have had it. So it's fantastic for him to be able to maintain that lead. I also think he could have stayed out on the dries and maintained that position too. But, if he didn't pit, then maybe cars behind him would have pit and he would have lost that position. So it's all a big puzzle, isn't it? But Dark Viper first there. Second is Krysix. He has that fastest lap point. So that will give him an extra point for his troubles. 8 points he'll pick up. Adam Sanderson in third. Lolanova in fourth. Good result for him, given his front wing damage. F1 Scott in fifth. A very good result, actually, for F1 Scott. Vazin Shai battling through. I said, what do those F1 drivers know? Quite a lot, clearly. B-Roy in 7th. 8th is Dragonflies, and the rest of the grids is Chesnoid Gaming, Luke Howick, Emphatic, Hoodie P, F1 Alex, Dan Moran, Meraki, Peya, Patterson, and Only Vic. Look, I just got there in time. Like a pro. Like an absolute pro. But we are not going to watch the next little bit of a race, because it's just going to be a load of cars crashing off while we reset the lobbies in the background. But what a race, though. What an introduction. That was possibly the best F2 race I've certainly commentated on, and probably one of the best F2 races we've had, certainly in the sprint variety.
So those of you who watch the WRC content know that I am known for causing chaos with my commentary and jinxing everybody. I don't want to say, I'm doing the exact same thing. I don't want to take credit for the drivers, but there's a small coincidence shaping here with my commentary and the races being absolutely chaotic. I'm all for it. It's great to watch. It's great to see the drivers having to adapt their strategies, adapt their plans, and driving in conditions that possibly they haven't even practiced. So yeah, that wet weather races, especially the transitions from dry to wet or the opposite, really bring out the best drivers, the ones that can feel the grip, the ones that can really push every single lap. And I think that's what we saw this race. Some drivers struggling, other drivers that were just at one with the car, and you could really tell via the pace. Those gaps just shrunk in the last 3 laps.
Absolutely. We did say to F1 Alex before we went live, actually, come and join us for an interview if we have a bit of time between the two sessions. And we do have a bit of time. And F1 Alex, you're a good person to get in because it felt like your race was a bit short there. A crash at turn 3. We didn't actually catch what happened there, but describe what happened in that carnage from your perspective.
So I got a really good start. I started on the softs. Because we saw the rain was coming. I thought, well, I'm going to push, I'm going to gain positions because it's not a track that you can really overtake on. So I went for the softs, made up about 4 or 5 positions. I went slightly wide at turn 2. As I came back onto the track, I slotted in behind Dan Moran. Dan Moran came together with someone. He went off, spun around and rolled back onto the track and clipped my back end, the slightest of margins. But he clipped my back end, so yeah, I was round, and that was wing damaging, game over.
Yeah, not the best for you then, but how was the car before that? How was the car feeling? How was the pace? You mentioned to us pre-broadcast that you were possibly struggling to find that last tiny little bit. Do you feel like you found it?
I don't think I found it. I think I felt quick though, the 3 corners that I managed to get to, but again, I was on the softs compared to the mediums. But yeah, the grip felt good. Hopefully we can move forward in the race. Obviously, one-shot qualifying, it could be anywhere. There's some fast drivers in here. I didn't actually see who won. Was it Lolinoba?
A great guess, but it wasn't Dark Viper.
It was Dark Viper. Okay. Oh, GG's Dark Viper. No, but hopefully we'll try and stick it on him. We'll put it on them and we'll give it our best shot.
Dark Viper 4th, by the way. So he did score some good points, had a bit of wing damage, which someone pointed out in chat actually. Liv Pro said, classic eyes amusing strategy, break the car to make it better. Because you made a comment about how the front wing damage was probably helping in the rain.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help me. All over the place.
Well, fantastic to hear from you, Alex. I hope your race goes a bit better. Of course, we'll be hoping to pay a bit of attention to you in the one-shot qualifying. Keep up there and maybe close that championship gap down a little bit.
Hopefully, mate. I'm going to sit in this room. So if you feel like coming for a chat mid-race, feel free. Drag me in. I'll come and have a chat mid-race, just like like they do on the pit wall when they go and chat with team principals. Come and find me.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Cool. Thank you very much, Alex. We'll move you back. You'll have to move him though, eyes amusing. I presume you've got the permission to do that because I'll be full showing the game mode and I've just had to restart it in the background, so that's why I was a bit distracted during that interview, so apologies, Alex. But yeah, I mean, a great race. A lot of Noba picking up that wing damage, it hurt him, so we haven't seen his true potential yet. It could be quite fast. It could be seconds ahead like he has been before. Maybe not quite, but we'll certainly have to wait and see. From that first race, who really impressed you there, Eyes Amusing?
Oh, there were a lot of standout performances. I think Dark Viper, just with the calmness to make that decision, to make that call at that time. Remember, B-Roy pitted a lap or 2 earlier, and it's so easy to react, to just go, right, the rival behind me has just pitted, I need to go for it. And he had the foresight, the mental awareness to say, I don't feel like it's ready. My tires aren't dropping off temperature. The grip still feels okay, and perhaps, I don't think so, but perhaps he had a sort of idea of how much time B-Roy might be losing. And just to make that call, make that decision, especially while you're leading the race, to go, I'm going to give up track position on one of the tracks where track position is the most important, Monaco without barriers, that takes a boldness that I think deserves a special shout-out. And I would say also just shout out in general to all of the drivers where it might have gone wrong and they still picked it back up and drove the race. Some of them even got points from that. So it just proves that never give up, never sort of abandon the race if you can.
Yeah, of course, Razin Shai, one of those people who came back through F1 Scott as well, involved with those early skirmishes, ended up scoring points. Someone who I feel a bit sorry for, Hoodie Pete, he was one of those drivers that opted not to go onto those wet tyres. And in the end, it just really hurt me. Of course, he had a little bit of an incident, couldn't keep it on the island. That's always the risk with staying out on that dry strategy in those wet conditions. Can you actually keep it in the island? If you spin off, you're losing more time than you need to. And then once he was caught, he was absolutely swallowed up, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, it doesn't help that they were on used tires. You know, their tires were at the end of the life, really. And when that happens, you lose tire temperature, you lose grip faster. The grip is more pointy as well. So instead of gradual oversteer, you just get snap oversteer. And with the conditions changing as rapidly, we didn't think that anybody would pit for wet weather tires at the start, really, when the rain started falling. But it fell so dramatically that in the end, I think just staying out on the wet weather tires was a big risk, and even just another lap and we could have seen more drivers spinning off. At the end of the day, you just have to remain calm, but that's so difficult. It's easy for us to say, so difficult to drive it.
Absolutely. A couple of involvements in chat here. JPM, how are you doing? One of our commentators, of course, quite often on the F2 Creator Series. He's on the F1 Creators Series tomorrow alongside Jake Sperry. So tune in at 6 o'clock UK time for that one, British summertime, and do week calculations if you're not in the UK. From there, URL F1 Viva is saying pole predictions from us. And there's one pole prediction, isn't there, really, you can make? And
yeah,
it makes you laugh out loud a bit. Lononoba, he's just sensational, isn't he? It's going to be very hard for anyone to challenge him, unless he thinks maybe I'll start from the back, have a bit more fun like I did in that last race.
I think with the amount of times in the past 3 races that he's got wing damage from starting mid-pack, I think he'll want to be out in first place, through turn 1 in first place, and out into the lead, into the distance, saying ciao ciao to everybody else.
Who's getting P2 then? And also, your F1 Viva has just corrected it to P2. Who's the P2 prediction in? Oh.
A good way of putting it. Oh, man. I mean, you've got some F1 Creator Series drivers in here who can be very, very fast. It's going to be so close. But honestly, looking at the pace during the race, Adam Sanderson was someone who had great race pace, consistent times, and just made his way up the order gradually. So, is the quali pace there? I have no idea. We haven't seen any indicative pace apart from on worn tyres at this point. So, maybe Adam Sanderson.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe F1 Scott as well. He's got the F2 experience from last season, still runs the F2 cars occasionally as well. So he's got that eye in, but he's a bit of a one-shot lap merchant, really, you could say. He scored second position in the qualifying in Brazil last week in the fan vote in the F1. Finished about 14th or 15th, I can't quite remember where. But yeah, maybe F1 Scott, maybe F1 Alex as well can pull something out of the bag. And we'd be able to drag him and talk about it. Let's theorise what will happen. But we are getting close. I can't see all the people in the lobby, but we should be there soon enough to get going on this one. But yeah, I mean, if we have a race at all like that, the rain at the end, it was just the right level to spice that one up. Give those variations on the different strategy calls you can make. We saw people do 14 laps on mediums. We saw people do 4 laps on wets and 10 laps on mediums. Some people going on to soft as well. I think those soft tyres, it just didn't pay off for them. I think if it was maybe lap 6, like lap 7, they would have been in a really good position. B-Roy was leading on lap 6 and he only ended up in, I believe it was 7th position with those tyres when he pitted. So, yeah, do you think if the rain came earlier, B-Roy could have maybe been on the podium there?
Well, I was going to look at it the other way round, actually. I think the softer compound runners were actually saved by the rain. If it would have carried on to be dry for another 4 laps, those tyres would have been absolutely toast and just dropping down the order. So it effectively forced the change to wet weather tyres as soon as they felt that the soft tyres were just off the cliff of grip, really. So in essence, that would have been an easier strategy call to make. My tyres are gone, just got to go into the pits, that's it. So I think B-Roy, I think made a few mistakes in there, so that hampered his pace a little bit. But I think it was the correct call to make. It's all obviously very difficult. On some tracks, you can go on the softer compound tyres, have no problems whatsoever. We've seen it in the past few races. This one is just a track where if you've got the right temperature conditions and track conditions, the tyres can just cook, quite literally.
It's a shame B-Roy can't jump in and answer that one himself, because I'm sure he'd tell us it was the worst rally he's ever driven in true WRC style. Davey's asking, do you think Lononoba could perform good in the F1 Creator Series? I don't care about the F1 Creator Series. Could he do well in rallying? That's the real question. Come on, if you're a fan of Lolanoba, if you're watching both streams, pressure him to come and join the EA Sports WRC. Can he do it on a rainy night in Stoke? That's what we're really asking with that question. But I mean, I'm going to ask the question: it's such a different discipline, isn't it? Asphalt driving to and circuit racing to going over onto gravel, snow, and tarmac surfaces of rally. That transition, you see it in real life a little bit. Of course, Robert Kubica, Kimi Raikkonen, to name a few, going from the F1 circles over to the loose gravel patches of rallying. What is it? Is it pace just inherent, and some people can just manage both, or is it very much a discipline thing, switching between the two? What are your thoughts of that kind of idea?
If you have absolute talent, and I'm thinking of one example of Jarno Opmeer, who has run the WRC game and has got some world records early on in the game's cycle, you can get to a reasonable level. Sebastian Loeb famously said about Kimi Raikkonen that if Kimi Raikkonen could finish a rally stage, he would be the fastest by far. The implication there, I don't need to explain that one.
The only actual thing I can think of Kimi Raikkonen and rally is that I'm sure there's an image of him standing on a car when it's in a ditch. That's the only image. Also, him drinking with Sebastian Loeb late night and Ken Block at a lodge. Those are the only two rally photos I have in my head of Kimi Raikkonen.
If I remember correctly, it was Rally Mexico where he went into shakedown, so not even a timed stage, just a practice stage. He went in there, crashed the car so hard that he couldn't participate in the rally. So it's Formula One drivers, I've often described it as Formula One drivers drive at 110% all the time. Rally drivers drive at 95%. It's very difficult to find a driver that can do both. There are people like Sebastian Loeb, and some other drivers, I'm thinking also like Colin McRae, that have tried, but it's very difficult to get that balance. Colin McRae test drove for Jordan, I think, in 1995 or 96, and they were, the grip basically went off in the tires because he cooked the tires after 3 laps. The driving style was too aggressive. So it can happen, but you have to train yourself.
Yep. Well, fascinating to have your insight, of course, from the WRC side. And your insight on the F2 side. We do have a countdown into one-shot qualifying. 25 seconds to go. And we will look to see who's going to be good for the first few corners. But until then, we'll just go on whoever it gives us, one from the top. But I'm thinking Nolanobas will be up there. F1 Scott, maybe F1 Alex. It will be very, very interesting to see. But we are about to jump into that, so let's go full screen and see the results and the event that is one-shot qualifying here. And it is Dark Viper GT who we're riding on board with at the moment, as he heads into turn 1. And of course the man who won the sprint race, he is seeming to have a lot of grip because he's quite slow down the straight. And look at that, we can go on board with Adam Sanderson because he's currently in 2nd position behind F1 Scott, just in front of Vazen Shai. And through these first few corners, it would appear that they've got a little less grip than those people because they've just been down the long straight. Now the people with grip will of course find epic time through these next series of corners. Through turn 4, you just have to chuck it in and hope that the pace is on there and on exit. As I just go through turn 5, it's pretty tidy by Adam Sanderson. There's F1 Alex disqualified from the session, parking in a dangerous location. I think he had binned his lap there.
Yeah, and unfortunately that means starting at the back of the grid, which makes the point scenario even more difficult. Let's see Lolnova just popping to the top of the leaderboard briefly there. That is ominous, with Meraki though in first place. It's a bit of a compromise setup for this track, so it's interesting to see it pan out during qualifying. You can see very, very smooth, so some people have a lot more grip than others. A compromise setup because you don't want to lose too much speed down the straight, leave yourself vulnerable. So it'll be down to driver preference, and Meraki is making this look ever so easily, but just pipped, I think, by Lolinova just at the last corner. Maybe, oh, look at the gaps, just 1/10 of a second between the splitting the top 5 a tenth of a second increments there. That is what we love to see in quali, and everybody actually getting reasonable laps in there, to be honest. The gap's quite small.
Yeah, very tight session. I think Meraki just had a little bit of a wobble before he went into turn 14, and that gave that temp to Lolanoba and gave that position. Meraki, second position. He was in none of our conversations for pole position or even P2, but the man who's got the Hungarian flag on, he does this thing, Meraki, where he always selects the flag of where they are racing. But he's, of course, a British driver for Williams Esports. He's in second. Lolanoba, our championship leader, he's in first. Krysix, he came second in the sprint race. He is third here. Dark Viper still on form, fourth position. F1 Scott, a good return to the series. He is in fifth position. Adam Sanderson sixth. Good pace from him. Pace from Luke Howick. He's on a redemption arc here, and Dragonfly is in eighth position. Razanchai ninth. Peya in 10th position, and then some other people you can read. Pause it if you want to on YouTube, on Twitch. Go back, watch the VOD if you really care that deeply about the qualifying results. We're about 30 seconds or so away from the race here. What are we expecting from the start here? It's dry conditions, no rain expected, says my telemetry. We'll see it and believe it.
Yeah, well, turn 1 is going to be of utmost importance then, just in terms of getting that track position, trying to run away with it. We've seen the DRS trains already in the sprint race there, so breaking that DRS gap will be of utmost importance, because the infighting, trying to fight and trying to get past with that DRS loses, by calculations, about 0.5 of a second per lap. So if you can break the DRS, force the others to battle behind you, you can just drive off into the distance, and that's exactly what Lolanoba will be expecting to do here. Will he have it his own way? I don't think so. I think at least Meraki will be able to fight with him, but it's going to be interesting to see who can not only have the pace, but keep it for the entire duration of the race.
Yeah, 444 meters down into turn 1. So again, it's a long way. You can make positions, and it is very much the first couple of corners always are a skirmish. But here we go. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5 lights. And when they go out, it will be the creators going racing in Hungary. And Lolanoba makes a good start. I think that was a very decent start from Meraki as well there. As they go down into turn 1, Meraki tucking behind Lolanoba. He looks to the inside. He doesn't go for the position, but that bunches up the 2 cars behind. Krysix and Dark Viper. Dark Viper just tagging the back of the Alpine liveried car there, the ART. And that means that Krysix can just slide up into P2. And Lolanoba already with a big gap here.
Yeah, it was Krysix getting an even better start than Meraki that forced him to go defensive, basically, and that caused all of the pile-up into turn 1, with everybody tripping over each other. Meanwhile, Lolanoba just used the slingshot to create that gap, and he will be pushing 110% now. Everybody's keeping it quite clean at the moment. Obviously, those 5 extra laps make a difference, and people get the impression as we see someone go straight line it. I think that might have been Meraki straight lining it over the chicane there, so getting a little bit of dirt on the tyres. Interestingly, the top 3 have gone for the harder compound tyre for the start, whereas everybody else, apart from a few stragglers at the back, have gone for the softs. So you'll have this concertina effect where everybody closes in, and that is Dark Viper going for a move on Luke Howick. Does he make it stick? Not quite. The driver getting traction on the outside, going for it again in all of the smoke there as well. Smoke screen, effective way of getting rid of your rivals behind you, I guess. Yeah, we saw that move once or twice in the sprint. Certainly in the early stages, Dark Viper just not having the braking performance there to take position. He's still in 5th position. It's Lolanoba who leads by just under 0.7 of a second. That gap has remained consistent over the opening lap. The top 3 all on those medium tyres, but Dark Viper there battling away with Luke Howick. He's now took that position down into T1, but he does have Luke Howick just behind, tucked in. Will he go for a riposte down into the second hairpin? No, he doesn't. Just tucking behind. And Dark Viper, he'll be looking to get into those podium places. Meraki just ahead and very much looking under threat here. Yeah, Meraki, this is a crucial lap for Meraki and everyone behind him, because he has to push to get that DRS. And I'd say, if I was Dark Viper, I'd sit behind him and not attack, because losing the DRS to the cars ahead just means that you compromise your race already on lap 2 and effectively condemn yourself to 3rd place if nothing else happens. So you really want the drivers at the front not only battling, but you want Meraki to have that DRS to drag you back along to the front too. It's looking like he's a couple of tenths shy at the moment. So we could see our first breakaway here. But Lonanoba under more pressure than we expected, to be honest. And we're not seeing that many moves as we saw in the sprint race. But that just means that the chaos is for the next few laps.
Yeah, people know there's always that option of strategy coming in. More chance of a safety car, bigger chance that the tyre strategy will come into play. And Krysik's actually setting the fastest lap of all. That was 2 tenths quicker than Lonanoba on that last lap. So he is looking to turn up the pressure. And really, this circuit, if you can't get by, it does turn into a pressure cooker. One mistake and you are going to be losing a position. But Meraki, he has that pressure from Dark Viper behind, very close behind at the moment through turn 2. It's going to have to be a very good run through these next couple of corners to be able to pressure into turn 4. We have seen audacious moves from him already today, the sprint winner, as he goes up into turn 4, a little bit too far behind. He'll just have to stick behind and look for a better line and try and pressure Meraki to go off. But of course, the season 4 champion Meraki is well versed at these racing conditions. Maybe he's a bit washed in F1, but maybe he's a great F2 driver. Maybe he'll also make the switch over to F2 next season, because he's not having the greatest form in F1, but looking mighty impressive here, even if he is under pressure here for 3rd position.
Yes, he might be washed, but then again, he's back in F2 and trying to cook to get a little bit dirty again and find that pace. It can be refreshing to go into a different car that has different levels of grip, so you can get the feeling back a little bit. But crucially here, they've lost that 0.5 of a second by losing that DRS, and so now Meraki might just fall back more and more and more. These two battling still, and Luke Howick's nearly lost DRS to Dark Viper himself, so the two sort of packs now splitting into 3 almost, as everyone else. Infratic also has lost DRS, so the pack is now getting split, and the leader's going for a change. I don't think so. I think Kryzik has not managed to get the move done, but Dark Viper overtaking Meraki, and it's interesting also to see, looking at the sector times, how the setup is very well, a wide delta between. There's gaps of 0.3 between the drivers compared to Sector 1 to Sector 2 and 3. So it's looking like Lonanoba has gone for a very high downforce setup, and I think Hoodie Pete has DNF'd. I didn't see anything happen on screen, but it looks like it's a crash, perhaps?
It was in the pits, I think. Sometimes when you DNF in the pits, it just drives you back onto circuit. He's had a couple of connection issues already, so unfortunately not Hoodie Pete's day, and he is retired from this session and won't be taking any part in today's race. But Lonanoba just extending that gap in that middle sector. He's got a better downforce car, but it could mean that if he's anywhere close to Kryzik along that straight, Kryzik is going to have that better straight line speed and an opportunity to overtake. And this is often a battle you see around the circuit. Someone with low downforce or lower downforce and better down the straights, and someone with high downforce in front, maintaining that position. And it always comes down to, as I said, a pressure cooker. First one to make a mistake here will lose this battle. If Lonanoba loses this position, then he could actually be gapped by Kryzik. Such is that straight line speed. It's coming down and down. Of course, aid of the DRS and the slipstream. But it is certain that Kryzik has better straight line speed here, because he loses so much time through that middle sector.
Yeah, and crucially, out of that last corner, Lonanoba is able to go on the power. Oh, Kryzik's looked at it through the dummy, but Lonanoba just managed to brake at the right location, not getting perturbed or put off by the antics going on in the mirrors. So we see a couple of jostling for positions here with F1 Scott just looking at Meraki and Luke Howick. Meraki has lost the position here to Luke Howick and is about to lose another.
Yeah, big slide going through turn 4. Of course, we saw Luke Howick actually go off and face the wrong way there, and Meraki has certainly lost a number of positions there. He's out of the top 8 into 9th position. The man who started on the front row of the grid, he's not enjoying out there. What has happened to him? Has he got a bit of wing damage, or just maybe he's just got a setup that's cooked those tyres already?
Yeah, well, that's the danger of going for a low downforce setup, is the fact that you're putting more pressure on the tires through the corner, and in that they're sliding a lot more. So if you start overheating the tires, as you can see on the circuit, there is absolutely no respite whatsoever apart from that main straight, which isn't long enough to cool the tires down. So as soon as you get the overheating, until you change tires, look at Meraki sliding through the corners there. As soon as that starts to happen, you're on a slippery slope, because the more you try and keep up with the cars in front, the more you overheat the tires, the more you overheat the tires, the more you slide, the more you have to push, and then the more you spin like that. Patterson unfortunately having a little mistake there just before the end, and someone doing an awesome drift in the background. Dan Moran, I will give a 10 out of 10 for Gymkhana on that one. Sadly, not the fastest way around that corner.
Patterson's in a different car in this race. I don't know if anyone's noticed. He's in the ART now. He was in a Van Am I saw earlier on. But neither car bringing him any luck. He's way down the order in both of the races so far. The man from Yorkshire not having a fantastic day here out in Budapest. I think there's a moment F1 Alex going slowly at turn 2 there, and he's got a bit of a run down on Emphatic. Does he think about a move maybe around the outside? No, he doesn't. But Emphatic very punchy just behind Chesnoid Gaming for 11th position. Remember, points all the way down to 15th position here.
Realistically, on that turn, you need to be absolutely side by side and preferably on the outside, and hopefully the driver gives you room through the corner. There's someone off as well in the second
Dark Viper. It's Dark Viper.
Incredible. So Dark Viper in 3rd place, if I remember correctly. Just again, maybe the balance of the car is changing now, and it's catching drivers, very experienced drivers, just out of nowhere, really. It seems like in one lap it's changed.
Yep, and Dark Viper struggling. He's on those softer compound tyres, of course. He's one of these people who did start on those soft tyres. Are they starting to go off? Maybe a little bit, but we did see Meraki fall down the order just earlier, and he's on those mediums. Perrier in 10th position. He's the first person to pit off of these tyres, and we are coming to around the halfway point of this race, so maybe it's the time to go now. I think it's a little bit too early, but we'll see what kind of ground he can make up with that undercut.
But then again, the time difference is absolutely remarkable. You've got the front 2 runners doing a 25.8, 128.5 numbers. Sometimes you get them in the right order, other times you don't. I had all the correct numbers, not necessarily in the right order there. Whereas 3rd place on the softer compound, a 129.3. That is a 7/10 of a second difference in one lap, and that gap is just going up and up and up for Luke Howick, and it's now at 6.1 seconds. And you've got to think at some point, at what point are you compromising your race? You've also got to look at where you come out on track, because if you come out behind somebody, even though they're on the worn tyres, they will hold you up for 3/4 of the lap.
Yeah, I think because it's such a short race, though, it's so rare that you have that natural field spread that can hold you up. Certainly in the F2 races, certainly where we don't run the full 100%, but Meraki there again, just twitchy on the entry into turn 13. He had a bit of a twitch here on his flying lap, so not the most stable setup. I think someone was going into the pits there. I believe it was the man who was 3rd in the championship before the start of the day, 2nd as things stand. He goes in, and a few people actually go in. I think Dark Viper also looking to go into pits. F1 Scott also looking to go to the pits. Not Dark Viper at all, I just made that up. Adam Sanderson went into the pits in front of him. So it'll be interesting. Can these guys maintain that position to Perrier? He's coming around the final couple of corners now, and it will be a long run down to the start-finish straight. But I think they were a little bit ahead of Perrier, and I think Perrier's not done enough there to undercut it.
Yeah, well, Perrier had the problem at the start of the race, I think, with a spin or something. So he's dropped off, but he could come back into this race with clean air and clean track in front of him. If you start pushing, the pace could be emblematic, but we'll see. It's a long race, there's still more than halfway to go here, so anything can happen. Will we get a safety car? Will we have shenanigans? The front 2 are still going tooth and nails at it, and it's only going to take one mistake. They're both on the harder compound tire. We got someone has spun in sector 3. I'm trying to figure out who that is.
Patterson. He's lost his front wing as well. Yep.
It has not gone well for Patterson at the moment. Gymkhana not giving you any points, sadly, in this race, as it looks like Lolinova is vulnerable in this one. Luke Howick in the pits then. Every one of the soft compound drivers, as we see a battle here. Lolinova under pressure, finally. Kryzix, will he be able to get the traction off the corner? It doesn't look like it, sadly. Oh, so close. But will the pressure finally make Lolinova crack at some point?
Yeah, it's interesting. Is it worth it for maybe Kryzix to go and pit earlier than Lolinova? He certainly has to box opposite to the car in front, do the opposite thing on strategy to try and get by. But I'm fascinated here. We have maybe 10 laps left. People are boxing on lap 9 off of those softs. But could a safety car come and do something here? There's lots of yellow flags all over the place for blue flags, and I believe Patterson has had another moment down at turn 2, so that could certainly come into play. But I think Krysix will maybe thinking, how far can I take those soft tyres here? It'll be 9 laps once he comes out here. I think maybe Lolanoba needs to pit to cover off undercut here.
Yeah, well, they've got another problem in that Infratic is about 19 seconds behind this lead duo, so he could play a very big role in holding up people if they pit for new tires. So perhaps they're going to create a gap. Krysix, I think, was dummying a move into the pit lane there, just trying to force Lolanoba into the pits. Lolanoba has his race strategy and he looks to be sticking to it, going all the way up to the pit wall. Don't want to see any Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello shenanigans here today, but it could happen. Defense has to be wild sometimes into this first turn, but it looks like for one more lap, Lolanoba is safe for the moment.
Yeah, man, will that come back to haunt him? Krysix not taking that opportunity to go past Lolanoba on the last lap. It's going to be a day where it's going to come down to moments between these two, because they are pushing so hard and they are both absolutely in the zone, on the nail. And F1 Alex retires from the grid there. Maybe we could pull him in for an interview in just a moment, but he's clearly not had a good day there for his championship hopes. And even against holding second position against Dragonflies, it looks like he'll slip to third in this one. Even further maybe with Adam Sanderson picking up points. So we'll have to see how that all plays out later on. But Krysix just loses so much time through this middle sector. He's looking for a mistake from Lolanoba through the first sector. I think one of them will pit on this lap, certainly.
Yeah, the funny thing is about having more straight line speed is that you can afford to make mistakes, but the driver in front that has a lower top speed can't afford to even make one. Because if you make a mistake on this last turn, you don't have the speed to recover. It looks like they're both struggling on tyres now.
None of them pit. Neither of them pit. I mean, I know nothing about anything, so fair enough. They did take my advice. But I am surprised that that undercut wasn't took there. I believe the gaps are a little bit fruity, maybe to Chesnoid Gaming, 21 seconds, 27 seconds back to Emphatic, but I believe that they'd be able to clear them quickly enough. I think they're just really not wanting to get caught out. Maybe a safety car here. Of course, that would reduce the amount of time it takes to pit, but also not wanting to go too long on a pair of softs. They saw how quickly those softs degraded on those other drivers, so maybe that's playing heavily on their mind.
With the drivers pitting around lap 8. Oh, Lolanoba just nearly losing the car. Incredible. Just able to save it. I think just giving a dab of the brakes there to draw the car square again. But this means that Krysix is all over the rear of the car. He's about 3/10 of a second closer. This could be the lap where he's put under pressure. But is this also the lap where they're coming into the pits? This is going to be absolutely frantic. And it's a guessing game. Who is going to pit? Is anybody going to pit? Is Lolanoba under pressure now? It certainly looks like the rear of the car is sliding. He's got a huge amount of oversteer, and I think maybe Lolanoba will be the first one to dip into the pits. In terms of strategy for Krysix, staying out might be the best decision because he won't overtake. Oh no!
Lolanoba, big moment. Out of turn 13. Neither of them to pit. They're still battling. Who has DRS? I think Lolanoba may have picked up DRS on Krysix here.
I was pausing for 2 seconds, sure that Lolanoba was going to pit, but Lolanoba gets the DRS, and paradoxically, with that, is back into the race lead. Now that is 60 chesses if I've ever seen it.
It's a double dip of DRS too, so Krysix will have to suffer. He had the opportunity to overtake him. Lolanoba's mistake gives him the advantage. Unbelievable there. Maybe it was indeed implied. Maybe it was a bit of a DRS chicken there, but it just looked like a mistake going through turn 13, just as you were talking about how he was struggling with sliding. Lolanoba right there, and they're still, neither of them pit. I'm very, very surprised about that. I thought Lolanoba was definitely going to pit after making that mistake.
Well, looking at the gaps, I mean, they don't really have anybody challenging them at the moment to pit, really. Luke Howick, even though he's been into the pits, he's not making the pace on those. Oh, Krysix incredibly saves the car, double sort of whiplash effect, and he's fallen outside of DRS now. Incredibly lucky to save the car. Good car control, it must be said, but just touching the grass there, especially after catching the car, sort of compounding the problem that he had. You could see it in the corners just leading up to it. He got a twitch through the chicane, didn't think anything of it, and then when he turned in, there was nothing, no grip at all.
Lonanoba does come into the pits this time around. Oh, almost just oversteering into the central reservation there. Krysix, alternatively, he does go around. He has the confidence. He wants to stretch his legs, see what he can do on that old set of tyres. Lonanoba will look for the undercut to extend his lead. Of course, Krysix making that mistake on the last lap, but of course he had the car right in front of him. Krysix has to push and find every little bit of pace in that car that he can. And Meraki, who's yet to pit, takes second position, but he is out of position at the moment. He's going long, goal hanging for a safety car is what I'd call that. And Lonanoba is going to feed out just in front of the chasing pack. Luke Howick is going to be under pressure from Adam Sanderson. There's a bit of a DRS train behind this car here.
Yeah, indeed. That was the danger for Luke Howick, getting caught by the cars. It looks like the pace on those harder compound tyres is not working out for him. Just a note as well, sadly, we won't be able to have F1 Alex in the commentary booth. He left the possibility for me to drag him in straight after
He's
his
an
crash,
unhappy
sadly.
boy. He's an unhappy boy.
There wouldn't be kind words, I don't think, if we did drag him in for an interview. Let's put it that way. Yeah, a valiant effort in his race anyway. I'm sure he'll do better next time. Here it is then, the moment of truth. Will Krysix have the pace here? I think it was the smart decision to make, to be honest, because you were already outside the DRS, so there was no point pitting right behind to keep DRS. So now he'll have a tyre advantage, and hopefully, seeing as he was able to stick with Lonanoba, he might be able to use that extra tyre pace as well to get extra close within the last 2 laps. I think this is going to come down to catching within the last 2 laps. Let's see, though, is it a good pit stop? Hopefully there's no problems. All the tyres go on properly. Lovely stuff. And a little bit slow from getting away there. I think it's manually released on these pit stops. So a tenth of a second loss, that could mean the difference.
Yeah, and Lonanoba, there we are, raging down. Krysix, there we are, just tucking behind. He still didn't make gains on that. 1.22 seconds. I think Lonanoba has extended the gap there, certainly with that excellent outlap on that fresh set of softs. But 2.3 seconds, Lonanoba will be looking to try and make hay while Krysix is still on those colder set of tyres, and Krysix will look for that gap to stabilise and know what he's working with over the next 5 laps. He's got to close it down and then pass. Lonanoba's been almost untouchable today so far. There's a couple of moments for him, but neither have cost him the lead of this race, and that earlier pit stop has gained him a little bit more time on Krysix.
Yeah, meanwhile, Luke Howick's acting like the cork in a bottle right now for everybody else. He's got a huge train of cars behind him, and it's looking like Dark Viper is closing up as well, with another train of cars behind him, so we could have a huge concertina at the end of the race, fighting for P3. I'm sure everybody wants to see that. In terms of the situation for the lead 2 drivers, I'd honestly say that Lonanoba needed to gain a few more tenths of seconds, maybe a second, to be comfortable, because as soon as Krysix gets back within DRS, he's already gained a tenth of a second back. It could become dicey. Unfortunately for Luke Howick, he's now got a penalty, so not only is he holding up people, obviously he's entitled to do so, but it will be forcing people to, overtake him, even though he's outside of the running for P3. Although, looking at it, Adam Sanderson has made a mistake here and is 1.4 seconds behind. So actually, Luke Howick could drive away from them if he wanted to, or if he can.
Yeah, I think he needs 2 things to happen. So he needs Adam Sanderson and F1 Scott to battle really hard and allow him to create that gap more easily, or he needs Adam Sanderson and F1 Scott to pick up some penalties away. Otherwise, 3 seconds can be really, really dangerous, can be curtains to any kind of podium position that he may be thinking he was on there. But yeah, it's still not over. 1.7 seconds is a gap. That's gone up. Adam Sanderson starting to have a couple of eyes in those mirrors, looking out for what F1 Scott's going to do. What's Dark Viper going to do? We've seen him go for moves down here already to the chagrin of Patterson, but Dragonfly is also involved in this fight. It's absolutely tasty here. Also, that battle for first position, Crysik's just bringing that gap down by a couple of tenths, so I don't think this one is over by any means, but look how tight it is through this middle sector. And will someone maybe just go for a move? They're all looking down the inside at turn 12. None of them make it, but DRS is surely going to be in advantage for at least one of these drivers here, and we're going to see a move in this cluster.
Adam Sanderson is struggling for pace here. This is going to be a really tense straight here. Can he get the drive out of the corner? It looks like he's got good drive, about 0.5 of a second the gap, but both of them behind have DRS. Are we going to see a move? We certainly are. He's going to go for it down the inside. Goes at F1 Scott, and he has made the move stick. Dark Viper has not managed to follow through, but there's another DRS again for F1 Scott, and here goes Dark Viper up the inside. That's move done. Shorty can just go toward the outside of the corner, and unfortunately for Adam Sanderson, he can't do the switchback. So 2 positions lost in one straight. That demonstrates in itself why having that straight line speed advantage can be of use. Although it looks like Adam Sanderson wants to get back in on the party a little bit with Dark Viper. I will note also some shenanigans happened behind Dark Viper that previous lap, because the gaps have all spread themselves out now. Maybe someone getting front wing damage. And we have a spinner in the last corner. I think that's Dan Moran, sadly, that has gone around. But it looks like he's recovered. No safety car, nothing to report. So, yeah, the race going from bad to worse, sadly. Meanwhile, we have Crysik's up to 1.2 seconds. Grandstand finish number 2, anyone?
It's certainly looking like that way, isn't it? Crysik's has took about 1.5 seconds out of this gap over the last couple of laps. He's in DRS now. He won't get DRS on this lap, but he does pick up the fastest lap on his second full out lap, and that will be an extra point at the end of the race if he can maintain that one, and no one else in the top 15, well, we only have 14 finishers, scores it. But there we are, Maki picking up fastest lap. He's looking for the extra points, even if he's not part of this championship. But Dark Viper and F1 Scott battling here. F1 Scott losing out. Luke Harwick will be happy that they're still fighting there, because that gap almost at 3 seconds, and that would give him a podium. Razin Shai retiring in the pits. That's his day done. There'll be only 13 finishers as things stand. But Dark Viper just getting by F1 Scott there, and Adam Sanderson looking to sweep around the outside of the Scottish man there into turn 4. F1 Scott's gone from what looked like a podium position down into 6th as they stand.
Yeah, just a demonstration of how quick it can change with these cars being so pointy and so difficult to maneuver all the time. Crucially for these top 2, you always want to be setting the fastest lap possible, because if it appears that you have the fastest lap, it puts pressure on the driver in front. You always want that gap coming down by at least 1/10 of a second, because you can be sure that the driver in front of you will be looking every single corner, every single lap at that delta, looking to see where he's losing time, and it's possible for them to make a mistake of their own accord. And it's looking like first time in the DRS, 0.5 of a second here. This is going to be close into turn 1. Where do you go, left or right? Going to the inside, not close enough. Oh, is close enough. Brakes so late, and Lonova just left the door open. Now he's got DRS and closing the gap, though, just indicating I'm here, I'm not letting you go by, and you're going to have to go the long way around the outside, and there is no way you're going to get that done. Very good defensive driving, absolute perfection. He's looked at Fernando Alonso's onboards. And meanwhile, it continues with trying to get up the inside, but just not having the straight line speed. It's just too short a straight, and he's going to have to wait another lap. But Lolanoba here is intensely under pressure for this race lead.
It's now or never, isn't it, for Crysik's? He's got 1.5 laps to make this move, and 0.5 seemed like too big a gap last time through the first part of the race. But Kreisig just bled it into that corner so well and gave himself an opportunity, but it wasn't quite enough. 5 tenths as they went onto the straight last time. It's 4 tenths at the moment. If he can maintain that position, it certainly is possible for him to get the lead of the race on the final lap. We'll have to wait and see. Kreisig and Lolanoba, they've pushed each other so hard over the first 18 laps. On the final lap, it will be decided between these two battling rivals, and Kreisig has always kept Lolanoba at bay, even with the mistakes he's had. He's fought back, and he has the DRS, and is he going to get a simple move down the inside? It's going to be a move down the inside. It isn't going to be simple, but it'll just lean on Lolanoba and push him to the outside so he doesn't get the better traction. It is slightly better traction, but it's DRS again for the man with the Red Bull livery, and around the outside he'll go. They're still 2 by 2 as they head downwards into turn 2, and the right-hander of turn 3 just pushing out Lolanoba off the track, and Lolanoba's still there looking for the inside of turn 4, but he has to yield. Lolanoba, who's led every single lap, is now down in second position, and it's Kreisig who is the man to lose this one if he does lose it now.
I must say, what a respectful battle. That is impressive driving from both of them, regardless who wins this race now. That is some of the best wheel-to-wheel racing I have seen. Just masters at the wheel. And it looks like Lolanoba's lost the grip in the tyres. He's had to push so hard. The sheer weight of losing that on the last lap, and the 3-second penalty. Effectively, it's over now. Unfortunately for Lolanoba, that was the last straw. Maybe he knew that. He knew if he went wide at turn 1 and got a penalty, maybe that running wide at turn 4 was giving him a warning as well. In any case, it does not matter because it's the last lap, and around the final turn comes Kreisig, and that is a well-deserved race victory. Impressive stuff from both of them. Sadly, there had to be one loser. That was Lolanoba. P2, though, for points in the championship. Luke Howick, and it's time trial versus Dark Viper here. 2.8 seconds. Is it going to be enough? Dark Viper takes P3 just with Meraki losing out just for Luke Howick there in P5. Adam Sanderson, P6. A bit of a difficult race for him. F1 Scott crosses the line P8. Dragonflies P7. Chesnoy just coming across the line there in P9. Emphatic was again the cork in the bottle there for most of the race. P10. He will want to get a better result if he participates in F2 next time. B-Roy finishing P11. Again, another difficult race for him, and we wait for Dan Moran. But what an incredible drive from all of these drivers. The entertainment in F2 never fails.
It really doesn't, and the Creator Series delivers again, and 2 races, 2 stunning races. Even the one-shot qualifying went down to the final corner of who actually took pole position. It was Meraki who lost out there. He fell all the way down to 5th in the race. He fell further, actually, so he did recover well to 5th position on that alternate, harder to softer compound strategy. Dan Moran's going to go around the final corner. But Lolanoba doesn't win a race. Is that the first time he's not won either the feature or the sprint? I'm not quite sure. I've not looked at the stats. But it could be. It feels like it's a fact. It feels like it's a fact. Is it a fact? We'll have to ask Katie Melior. But there we are. Fantastic there. Fantastic from Kreisig for picking up this feature race win. I believe it may be his first as well. And we'll just have to see how that lines up with the standings later on. But Lolanoba, I believe, has just extended his championship lead with that battle for first position. Getting second in the end, that's still 20 points to his name. And yeah, he's on a march here, certainly, as they celebrate the podiums here. And we'll just hop on over to the results of that race, of course. And we all know Kreisig won that one. It was just so fascinating, the whole battle. Lolanoba went a little bit early on tyres. Did that give Kreisig the advantage? I think it just edged him out, certainly. Dark Viper racing to the end there to get the 3rd position from Luke Howick, who doesn't make it a double podium for that Dams team, but a good drive nonetheless, and much better than his feature race. Meraki is in 5th position. 6th is Adam Sanderson, consistent from him. Dragonflies, he gets into 2nd position in the championship thanks to that drive. F1 Scott is in 8th, Chesnoy Gaming 9th, 10th is Emphatic, B-Roy is in 11th, and Damaran the final finisher, but Peya will be classified. Razin Shai, F1 Alex, Patterson, Hoodie Pete, all marked down as DNFs, will not score any points here. So fascinating, absolutely fascinating. We will have interviews very, very soon. But, I mean, I can probably go over to you now and ask for your driver today, Isa.
I have two minds in this. I have to say, Kryzix, with that last lap pass, it looked like it was going to go from hero to zero with that little mistake just before the pit stops. But what a masterful recovery, it must be said. I think to have the confidence to go in for that last lap charge, that last lap lunge to take well, it wasn't even a lunge. It was a very, very clean pass and very great driving from both of them. I have to ask the question, though, whether the points available for Lolanoba meant that he just left a little bit of room and wanted to take that P2 maybe, although knowing most race drivers, they want that P1. So I have doubts that definitely my driver, Kryzix, but also I will say shout out to Dark Viper once again for a recovery race, just punching it and, doing everything he could to get up into those big points paying positions and the podium.
Yeah, both Kryzix and Dark Viper featuring on both podiums today. I believe Kryzix was on the sprint podium. So, great racing by them. We can actually get Dark Viper into the Tachometry booth. The man who's finished third in this race, finished first in the sprint. Dark Viper, a very, very good day for you in the F2 Creator Series here.
Yeah, always in the feature, I never think I'm going to win because Lolly and Kryzix, they've just got that little something extra, you know? Also, facing backwards doesn't help me at times. Also, that sprint race was so fun. That was one of my favorite wins of all time. I genuinely thought it was over when I came out. It was I was P6 and they were so far ahead.
Did you think of Miami back in the playoffs at all? In that moment?
Chat were mentioning Miami and I was like, not again. It was flashbacks. Everything went dark and it started raining all over me.
A cloud descended.
I had visions. I was like, not again.
But you battled through, and when did you start to believe that you could get back into that first position?
So I was looking at it. I had a 16-second gap. I was like, I just got to catch 8 seconds each lap. Not that hard, you know. And I did it. The first lap, I did over 8 seconds. I was like, wow, I can really do this, and it just all came together.
So I'm curious, I have to ask, because we've seen you in the rally series as well, where do you think you were able to gain that difference in those changeable conditions? What do you think, was there one element you can point out?
Honestly, not really. As soon as it started raining, I started losing out a bit to the guys behind. I think my best thing was when I was cutting through the pack at the start, because me and Kryzix started one position apart, but I managed to put cars in between us, which is the most important thing.
Assessment.
Yeah, I mean, you are. I'm not quite sure where you are in the championship with this one, but the fight for P1 is dead. Let's just throw that one over to Lolanoma now.
No. I
Do you think you can close it?
No, I scored the same points as Lolly last week.
Oh, right, okay.
Let's just say his computer blows up and then wide open.
Crowd strikes again. Who knows?
Hayden was putting championship charge in his title, so we got to believe.
Let's hope he doesn't have an Intel processor as well. Yeah, who knows? I mean, who does know? Certainly. You still feel like you're ready for a fight and you can take this one on.
I was disappointed. No one channeled that in a Valtteri at turn 1. I was like, maybe that's the chance we need. Just never happened. I'll have to go bowling next week.
Do you have any final questions, Isa, for our first place and third place man?
Well, I must say, Belgium is a track where there's fast sweeping corners. It's a little bit different. They've got a lot of straights where you can overtake. Is it a track which you like particularly? Do you think you can get a good result there?
Well, the past 2 weeks, I've been asked about Singapore, Hungary, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like those tracks, but my opinion always changes after the races. So, do you know what? I'm just going to have to go for it. I don't really like Belgium, and then, fingers crossed, it's some sort of, lucky thing for me. Sandbagging.
Reverse psychology, I think we'll call it as well.
Sorry, my chat just said to me I was doing donuts on the 5th lap of my goals.
That is very true. We did catch that.
It's for the fans. Do
you think you could have won a race without that spin?
No, so my bad start. Meraki had a moment in front of me, and then I had the same moment trying to avoid him, and then I went behind Luke, and then my soft stint was just ruined, and I should have went on the mediums like they did. I must have to just start copying P1.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, that is often the winning strat, isn't it? But fantastic to hear from you, and we'll let you go now and get back to your stream. But really appreciate you joining the broadcast channel. We won't hear from Lolanoba, unfortunately, having some issues with his jaw, so that's not ideal for the whole talking deal. I don't think we're going to hear from Crysis as well, because he's given me the reason he's live. So are we. Not a good excuse. Do you know what I mean? Get another excuse. Get the jaw excuse. That one from Lolano were perfect. We'll accept that one. But yeah, I mean, the man who you got your driver of the day isn't going to come up. But I mean, what a fantastic couple of races. What a fantastic bit of commentary as well from yourself today, John.
Too kind. You're not so bad yourself.
A very enjoyable day in the booth. I haven't been in the booth for about a month, so it's been very nice, if not a bit hot. I feel like a glazed donut with how sweaty I am. Certainly, it's not a nice sight. Pray for my wife later on. But I mean, any final thoughts to close out the stream?
Yeah, I just think, well, for me, what a first experience of commentary. You know, it's not always that you're given such great races by the drivers. And I must say, just massive congratulations to all of the drivers we had today for their awesome driving, or indeed Gymkhana moments. You know, even though it's bad for their races, it looks cool on camera. And sometimes there's something to be said about that. I mean, I'm impressed by the fact that we had such demonstrations of skill in that you had, especially the first race with the wet conditions and all of that. It really showcased how important it is to have confidence in the car. And then with Lolanoba at the end making, small, I wouldn't say errors, but not having the confidence to just force Crysis out on that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, Crysis has actually joined us in the booth, so he will give us an interview after I said some very kind words about you just before. Don't want to rewatch the stream. Crysis, a win there, a fascinating battle throughout it all. You clearly just seem to have a bit more pace down the straights, but you just couldn't get past Lolanoba. Tell me about it. Tell me about the mistakes that Lolanoba made and the nearly chances that you had throughout that race.
Yeah, it was an intense fight against the championship leader. He was really fast, my main opponent today, and I have a bit down the aerodynamic for this race, because in sprints I was a bit blocked. But yeah, I tried the overcut. He worked a lot. But yeah, I did a mistake. I don't know how I lost here, but so I have a gap, and I said if I copy the strategy, I will just stay behind. So I want to make the difference on the tires at the end, and it works. And my first win, so pretty happy.
It certainly was just legendary driving, I'd say. I particularly appreciated the fact that both of you at the end kept the battle very, very clean. Did you think mid-race, when you were stuck behind him with the harder compound tire on the car, did you really think that you could maybe get that gap done? Or what was the change that happened? The mistake, obviously, but what allowed you to make the difference in terms of pace at the end?
I saw my pace and attacking so much, and my viewers says he have so much difference on the tires compared to me. I was like 20% less on the front left tire. So I said if he tried the undercut, he will be blocked at the end by his pace, and I will make this difference, and I have nothing to play more. So yeah, I try and it works.
Well, it certainly did work, didn't it? It also netted you the driver of the day as well. That was awarded by Eyes Amusing. So congratulations on that. I hope you got a good picture. That will all be all over socials in the next few days. But thank you very much for joining us in the box. Hope you have a great rest of your day, Crysis.
Yeah, you too. Have a good night.
Thank you. There we are. Slag off the creators a bit, and then they'll come. That's the new strategy that I'm adopting from here on out. Yeah, I mean, I cut you off midstream there to get that interview in with Cry6, John. But I'll let you just finish off your thought wave if you still got it.
No, I mean, you know how I am. I always like to thank the drivers, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't have this amusing content and this amazing racing. Just in general, I will admit I did not notice that he was in the commentary box with us. That's first times you tend to make little mess ups like that.
I didn't realise until Dirk said it. So
good point. Yeah, very good point as well. But no, honestly, like, what an amazing 2 races, and I think the F2 championship, even looking at past races as well, just always throws up an unexpected result. We've had it today. We will probably have it next time out, so I can't wait for that. And that was going to be my ending thought.
And where can we find you when you're not here at the Creator Series?
Everything is amusing. Got it down there.
Between the bits. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes I'm amusing, sometimes I crash a lot. Other times I do both at the same time. You'll just have to watch and see.
Get a bit of damage for strategy adjustments and setup adjustments and all that. Yeah.
I've got a new excuse, to be fair. It's a good thinking, that one.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'm also being Gareth Allen TV on all the social media business and whatever you want to go on there. I'm mainly on what was formerly known as Twitter, but it's a load of old rubbish over there, so feel free to not follow me there, but somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, that's been it. Fascinating couple of races at Hungary. It's a track I always feel like can deliver great races, and it delivered 2 different kind of great races, which is always great to see. A rain-affected race at the end of the sprint that gave Dark Viper a lead on the final lap, and a dry race that gave Cry6 the lead on the final lap. But you couldn't ask for better drama than that. Absolutely box office. And thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in. We are back tomorrow at 6 p.m. BST, that's UK time. Yeah, please join us for the F1 Creator Series. Thank you very much for everyone who's been watching, and good night to you.